Thousands of Australian travellers have been left stranded overseas as engine requirements plague Jetstar's Asia routes, resulting in dozens of cancellations. As many as 4,000 Australians are believed to be stuck in Bali alone. For more, joining us live is the aviation expert Geoffrey Thomas. Jeff, good to see you. Thanks for your time. What's the problem with these planes? What's going on?
Well, look, it's quite an extraordinary set of circumstances. 3 of their 787s, which is their prime long-haul aircraft, 330-seat aircraft, have been grounded. One of them hit by a massive lightning strike off Queensland 2 months ago, and it's been repaired since that lightning strike. Another one was a bird strike, and another one was a foreign object damage on the runway, which damaged a flap when one of the 787s landed. And that particular 787, they had to get a new part from Boeing in Seattle, and then it had to be trucked to the aircraft to be repaired. So there's been all sorts of problems for Jetstar. Now, one of those 787s is back in service later on today, and the other 2 are expected to be back in service very soon. So that's been the main core of the problem for Jetstar.
Well, some of us probably wouldn't mind being stuck in Bali, but you can imagine the frustration for passengers on the ground with things to get back to here in Australia. Does that mean that this still should be resolved in the next couple of days?
Look, yes, indeed. Bali's a great place to be stuck, but certainly people have got commitments, and it's a massive disruption for them, of course. And so Jetstar have got 5 special flights operating, 2 today, 2 later on today, another one tomorrow, I understand. And so they are left then with about 180 people to be brought back to Australia, and they're hopeful of getting all of that resolved this week, and things should be back to normal. The airline is also paying passengers about $150 a day for hotel accommodation, another $30 or so for meals and any other reasonable expenses. So they are certainly shelving money out to compensate those passengers who are stranded, and they're very hopeful that the whole situation will be resolved by the end of the week.
Jeff, more broadly, Qantas is telling us that things are improving. It says 70% of flights landed on time in the last week of August. Does that mean that the worst is over?
Oh, look, I do think the worst is over. I mean, look, they've had a horror run, but of course, as we've discussed before on this show, on this news service, that this is a global problem. It's a massive global problem, and there's a whole variety of reasons for it. But having said that, of course, people's holidays and business trips are being disrupted, and you know, they're naturally upset. But yes, Qantas and other airlines are getting on top of the problem, and Qantas has certainly had a dramatic turnaround in its performance. And of course, part of that is their suppliers as well, like Sydney Airport, Melbourne Airport, have also lifted their game and smoothed out the bumps. And Alan Joyce is very confident that the improvement that we've seen through August into September will continue October into November, and hopefully by November, just ahead of the school holidays, things will be sort of normal, if you like.
So, Jeff, speaking of Alan Joyce, I mean, he's lasted in this role a long time. As we know, he has plenty of critics. He's been really copping some flack in recent weeks and months over all these cancellations. It's not his first scandal at the airline. What is your assessment of his time there? Is there any sign of movement at the top?
Look, Alan certainly has been the focal point of the problems for the aviation industry in Australia. Whether it's a Virgin problem or a Rex problem, it's Alan Joyce's at fault. But look, he has the total support of the board. I spoke to Peter Harbison, the chairman emeritus of the Centre of Aviation, one of Australia's most respected commentators, and he made the comment to me, there wouldn't be a board in Australia that wouldn't want Alan Joyce as its CEO. He's held in such high respect. He's had to make some really tough decisions to get Qantas in the right space, because it's facing competition from all sorts of airlines, whether they're overseas or local, with lower cost bases, government subsidised, you name it. He's in a tough gig, and he's had to make tough decisions. and he's the right man for the job, no question about it, none whatever. And I see Alan staying on for another couple of years at least to get the airline right through this post-pandemic period. And the airline's in terrific shape. It really is in great shape, notwithstanding the hiccups we've seen, and they're serious hiccups, of course, to passengers' journeys around Australia and overseas.
And just looking back at hiccups for a moment, I see that hundreds of airport workers are meant to strike next Monday, September the 12th. Yep. Is that going to mainly impact international airports, or do you think the issues are going to flow through to domestic flights as well?
Look, it's mainly going to impact international, but the issue is Qantas have said that they've got the situation in hand, they've got strategies to minimise the impact, but there's no question there'll be impact, none whatever. It's going to be a disruptive day, it's going to be a bad day, and hopefully Donata, for instance, have said that they're in the Fair Work Commission this week. They're hoping to get a resolution to this before Monday, and let's hope they do. But Qantas do say that they do have strategies in place to minimise the impact.
Geoffrey Thomas, always appreciate your insights. Thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure.